The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence with Claudette and Rowley. Conversations that are transforming the world of culture and business. Claudette brings fresh, innovative perspectives that push the boundaries of what organizational cultures can and should be. Learn how to catalyze your organization's workforce into an authentic, intentional, and financially successful culture. Now here's your host, Claudette Rowley.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am so very thrilled to be connecting with all of you. What a great show we have got for you today. Many of you have heard me talk about the amazing work that Claudette Rowley is doing in the world, and it's something that is so very near and dear to my heart. Many of you have heard the show that she and I did. We are doing an entire radio series on this because for us, we have been down the pathway of what it means not just to work in organizations, in corporations in the United States and even abroad, but what does it mean to be part of the culture of an organization? What have we seen that works and doesn't work? And this is why I am thrilled to introduce all of you to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the DNA of organizational excellence with Claudette Rowley. Now listen to this. This is not like if you're thinking, oh, big corporations. No, it's every organization. What Claudette has done is she's looked at with over 15 years of experience, whether an inside consultant or an outside consultant, and she's looked at the organizations that excel. And what is it that they do that sets them apart? And as a result of that, what she has created is something incredible, something which blends together both the intelligence of a culture and the emotions of a culture, that brings through, the whole idea of what it means for an entire organization to come together in support of creating excellence. And that is cultural brilliance. Today, she's going to take us on a journey so that we can understand what it is this model is about. What has she brought into the conversation that nobody to date that I know of has brought into the conversation of cultures? Why is it that some folks do a really great job at this and others don't? Today, you're going to get to hear from her what the essence is of cultural brilliance. But more than that, as a CEO of her own organization, as somebody that has worked to help design culture, help culture excel, increase return on investment, and bring to the forefront for everyone how to create employees that feel like they are being heard. So fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Claudette, this is a great show. It is so great to have you here.
Oh, thanks so much, Pat. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. I mean, we have been chatting about cultural brilliance, you and I now, for several months. And it is so amazing to see how this is all coming together and how absolutely important it is. And even in the past shows we've done, we haven't really taken a breath, let's say, to talk about cultural brilliance. But that is today's show, isn't it?
It is. And it's great to be able to talk about cultural brilliance itself and what that really means.
I love the term, by the way. I mean, it gives me a whole different feeling about it. And I wanted to ask you about this. What does it really mean? But here's what I love about this. Usually when you hear the word culture change, it's like really heavy. You know what I mean? But when we hear cultural brilliance, it really just lightens the whole thing up. Tell us what this means.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we're talking about cultural brilliance. We're talking about a culture that's authentic and responsive to the needs of its people, its systems, and the external environment. So as you said, the idea is that we can have a lighter culture, that even if an organization is doing serious work, maybe really, really challenging work or going through a challenging time itself, the culture can still be brilliant. This culture can still be light and transformative and take the organization where it needs to go.
Yeah. And, in the process of building this and looking at this and really coming up with this idea of cultural brilliance, you have seen a few things, right? You have been able to say, you know what, maybe we do learn from the things we don't do so perfect, right? Or we don't do so well. What have you discovered about these cultures that really have stood out to you? What are some of the attributes that they have and their people have? And I want to say this, if we could, because we're going to talk about this today. Culture involves people. It's not just a blueprint of some organizational change model, right? Tell us
Exactly.
about brilliant cultures and how they honor their people.
Mm-hmm. That's really one of the hallmarks of a brilliant culture actually is that it does honor the people. And so when we talk about a culture that's brilliant, I like to think of it as it's an environment that's self-aware. So people become, and the leaders and the employees, everyone involved in the organization becomes an expert on the culture. So when you go into the culture, people are willing to tell the truth about it. They're willing to be open and honest about it. Everything that works well in the culture, and as it is true with all cultures, whether it's an organizational culture, a family culture, a country's culture, right? There are always some downsides or blind spots, but there's a truthfulness to it, and a matter of factness that this is who we are and this is what we do. And to your point about, culture is about people. And sometimes we forget about that. One of the things, for example, I love that Google does, instead of having a human resources department, it has a people operations department, which I think is a much better way to describe that function. And so they're really looking at, this is about people and how they operate within our organization and how we can actually support them as they move forward throughout our culture.
Yeah. One of the things that I think we've also talked about in the past was how unheard people feel, how invisible people feel. Mm-hmm. And, there's a point in time where we look at that and step back, as you have done in looking at cultures as brilliant, right? Cultural mm-hmm. brilliance. And I wanted to ask you about employees and people that have put their time and energy into an organization. Do you have a sense of what it is they expect? Do you have a sense of now with a new model for culture? How is it they are going to be more engaged in the conversation?
I think they become more engaged in the conversation when the leaders of the organization start listening to them, and not only listening, but doing something about what they've said. Because it's one mm-hmm. thing to listen, and it's a whole other thing to take some action on what you've heard. And I think when we have a brilliant culture, there's some, what I like to call give and take within the culture. There's some flexibility. And so leaders listen and respond as they can. Employees listen to leaders and they respond as they can. So we start to see that there's this quality of listening, acknowledging and taking some action based on what we've heard, that's inherent in a more brilliant culture.
Yeah. What are we asking of people, Claudette? And this is, I think, an important question, mm-hmm. because I think and I know that we've been on the ends of giving, and not getting anything in exchange. And, sometimes, I don't know if you're part of this experience, but we went through an era where, management used a very interesting word to kind of escape from the conversation. And they said, well, employees think they're entitled. Well, I don't know that entitled is a good word. I think we believe in a fair exchange of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think there's been, more and more employees saying, look, we feel betrayed. We feel like we're being asked to do more with less, as the saying goes. We're asked to work all these hours. We're asked to be available via email. And some company cultures, not all, but some company cultures 24 hours a day. And it just doesn't seem quite like a fair exchange. And so people are asking for trust. They're asking to be listened to. They want a much more authentic environment. They want their ideas to be heard. And they want to move away from the idea that a company's currency is power. And power is really important. And yet, in some company cultures, we see that power is the currency versus authenticity, integrity, creativity, innovation. And when you're in a company culture where power is the currency, there cannot be trust because people are just trying to gather their power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And okay, so let's talk about gathering power versus empower. I'm so glad you used that word. I'm really kind of almost giddy about it. The word power has taken a hit over time, as if, employees don't want to feel a sense of power in what they do. And I'm not just talking about executive positions. One of the best jobs I've ever had was selling hot dogs from a hot dog cart. But what was it about that job that I really loved? Where does integrity and trust come into the mix? Where does that come in? How do people feel a sense of power from having that enacted in the organization?
They feel a sense of power in part when they feel trusted. They feel that the organization has a set of values, and that organization's actually living by those values versus just having them on their website and forgetting about it. So I think they feel empowered when there's some trust, when they're allowed to make mistakes and they're not penalized for it. When they're allowed to fail at something in the course of trying to create or innovate, and again, they're not penalized for it. When there's not, a whole set of unspoken rules and assumptions in the organization that nobody ever talks about, but everyone has to live by. So those are ways that people start to feel empowered, when there's integrity, trust, there's honesty. We can say what we need to say. We can debate important ideas. We can share our opinions. All of that leads to a sense of empowerment, no matter where you are in the organization, no matter what your job is.
Yeah, let's take a short break because we've got a lot to talk about here. For those of you tuning in, Claudette Rowley joining me, and I want to just make sure when we come back, we'll make sure we give you lots of information. How do you feel about your organization's culture right now? How are you feeling about it? Do you feel you're invisible? Do you feel there's a level of authenticity? When we come back, authenticity. Why does Claudette call this the heart of culture? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We'll give you an outline of what the Cultural Brilliance model looks like and what are the questions you want to be asking yourself. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light, from author and healer Francine Vale, is available now. Through Francine's life story, we learn how imperative it is to love one another. Once this simple truth is learned, peace on earth will prevail. Song of the Heart is a life lived and a story told for this purpose. To learn more about Francine and her amazing gifts, or to order your copy of the book today, visit angelsandlightbeings.com.
Have you ever tried to make lifestyle changes but had difficulty following through? Imagine what it would be like to get up each morning with energy, clarity, and motivation to tackle the day. If you want to get past limiting barriers that are preventing you from living your best life, join holistic health and wellness coach T. Carrie Mitchell each month on the Dr. Pat Show. Or visit lifestyle120.com today and start to receive the personal attention you deserve.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy